We have excellent behaviors, we have good behaviors. And forbidden or undesirable behaviors, we have three behaviors. Well, let's move on to excellent behaviors. Our next behavior, we call it good behavior, so to speak. That is, we call it good behavior. Its definition is a behavior that is on the path of progress and shows that the horse is trying to understand and execute commands, but it hasn't reached the ideal level yet. When the horse is learning and practicing, it might make mistakes, but it tries to cooperate with the rider. There are signs of uncertainty, but it doesn't give up. This is where we're dealing with good behavior. If guided correctly, it turns into an excellent behavior. And our goal is actually how to behave so that these good behaviors turn into excellent ones. Imagine we are practicing with a jumping horse about 5 years old. This horse, which also has a very good sport bloodline and has just started preparing for the 110 class, we have an exercise that includes several cavalettis, an upright to a two-stride oxer. In the first attempt, its steps might be wrong and it has a bit of hesitation in the second jump. But the interesting thing is that with each attempt, it goes one step further and gets better. The third time, it jumps correctly, and the fourth time, more accurately. And finally, for the fifth time, without needing the rider's help, it adjusts its own steps and performs a very good jump. This is exactly where we should realize the horse's behavior is good. It's neither perfect nor weak, but full of motivation and potential for growth. We call this behavior good behavior, not excellent, not bad. Now, the important question is, what should the trainer do at this moment? First, the trainer must be patient, shouldn't push or try to fix the horse faster with punishment. Here, speed becomes an obstacle to progress. Second, let's simplify the exercise. For example, instead of the horse going the whole way, let's focus only on the first part. For example, let's remove the last oxer so the horse reaches a correct understanding and a deep sense of its takeoff points, reaching those cavaletti hurdles and vertical poles. Once it's done correctly, if it's still mentally and physically ready, we can add the second hurdle. If it hasn't yet reached a proper understanding of that part of the training system, we're not allowed to make the exercise harder again. We must strengthen that behavior with patience and by breaking down the training. That is exactly when a simple good behavior truly turns into an excellent one. You know, a comprehensive training path planned with deep respect for the horse's mind and cognitive abilities truly begins the long process of building a future champion. Thirdly, let's look at the vital importance of positive reinforcement. It should be used. What does that mean? Even when the horse hasn't fully achieved the training goal, but has made an effort to improve, you must use verbal praise or positive breaks, meaning giving it a rest between each set so that its effort is reinforced and the horse continues to try and improve their overall performance. Why are these specific qualities and traits so important? Because horses that try to learn and develop their natural abilities are far more valuable than horses that only do something by force. Good. Behaviors are a reliable sign of future progress. They just need to be nurtured correctly and with proper training, patience, and respect, allow them to reach the successes that are currently awaiting them. This golden rule is something you must never forget when training a sport horse, especially when dealing with errors. From inability are signals, but errors from learning are truly golden opportunities. So with that being said, remember, if your horse is trying but isn't precise yet, If it responds but with a delay, or if it occasionally makes mistakes but is still cooperative, it means you're dealing with a strong foundation. Your role is to turn that effort into success, not to utterly discourage and frustrate it. Whoa, if you have similar experiences or no training techniques that have helped these types of horses, please share them with us in the comments. Share them. Now, I want to draw your attention to undesirable behaviors, forbidden behaviors and bad behaviors, behaviors that can be very dangerous and are indicative of resistance, stress, or misunderstanding for the horse, like refusing to move or resisting the rider's commands, like not jumping even over a pole or a simple hurdle. For a horse with high experience, bucking, kicking, biting, or aggressive behaviors. Stereotypical behaviors, like biting the stable bars or repetitive movements without purpose. Imagine we have a 9-year-old horse with a jumping history and local competitions with this previous rider. It had good results, but recently at the new club, it shows resistance towards simple jumps. It shows, for example, in simple exercises with 2 light obstacles, it suddenly refuses the second jump, or in 3 repetitions, its behavior becomes much more intense and worse. It becomes, for example, the first time it just pauses before entering its line. The second time it comes to a complete stop and holds its head up. And the third time it turns around and goes back and puts a lot of pressure on the bit. It applies. This way, it wants to escape the pressure of the bit and that bridle. Given the horse's history, this reaction seems unnatural because these obstacles are simple for it and it used to jump these obstacles easily. The first superficial impression might be that the horse is being stubborn or is acting out, but a professional trainer immediately stops and asks themselves this: why would a horse that previously jumped this height with focus now resist these simple obstacles? The first decision of a professional rider is to stop the training immediately. Do not apply any more pressure or insistence on jumping it. There's no need for repetition and more pressure. In the second stage, for 5 days only, do simple groundwork with the horse. Work on straight paths, half halts, in a way rebuild that mental piece of the horse. In the third stage of this training process, the horse should be rewarded immediately and generously for any small sign of minor cooperation it gives. This applies even when it just cautiously approaches the daunting obstacle and you don't actually expect it to jump at all. And you must also consider whether the horse's saddle is properly fitted and comfortable for the animal, placed completely and correctly on your horse's back or not. Again, you can resume and perform your jumping exercises, but this time easier, simpler exercises, so the horse is able to fully regain its former sense of confidence. And eventually, within 2 weeks, the horse returns home in a state of peace and motivation to its jumping, but only because the trainer timely prevented the deepening of negative. We are looking at specific psychological behaviors in the horse's mind. Now we can easily examine them very deeply and thoroughly for this particular type of horse. Let's do it. One essential step is checking the saddle carefully, performing a comprehensive and detailed saddle check to ensure a perfect fit. Perform a professional saddle check. It might become clear that this new saddle of yours is a bit on the shoulder and the right shoulder blade of the horse, putting too much pressure and is not going to be suitable at all for your horse's phenotype. The second important point to consider, definitely in the assessment of the horse's back muscles or back sensitivity. Please carefully pay attention to the horse's negative reactions. Any slight reaction while you are checking the horse's back, examining the back muscles, could be a sign and an indication of that bad behavior the horse had in that session. And the third point is reviewing your own training videos. Did the new Rider applied too much hand pressure when approaching the jumps, or it is possible that their leg aids were uncoordinated. It's very important that you can carefully re-examine your regular videos and see exactly how at the moment of the jump, the horse's ears and eyes were positioned and what the rider's position was like. And the real reason for that refusal to jump or that behavior in that ground, the movement of the work located carefully. And the fourth point, during this period, use negative reinforcement or negative punishment sparingly and with great care. You can find it in conditioning videos like removing a reward or stopping the session. The ultimate consequence of all this is that hidden pain becomes inextricably linked to the intense stress that the rider, through conflicting aids, has directly communicated toward the horse, and this subsequently leads to a specific avoidance behavior being created. It's been proven that undesirable behaviors like refusals, kicking, rearing, or even biting are often the result of hidden pain, psychological stress, a negative experience with a rider they might have had in the past, or serious misunderstandings of the rider's aids. A professional coach is someone who, instead of punishment and resistance, looks for the root of the behavior. What I mean is that when your horse used to jump before, but now no longer jumps, instead of more pressure, you should look at it more closely. Dangerous behaviors are not the way to talk to a horse. These bad behaviors must be stopped before they become deeply ingrained in the horse's mind. Sometimes just repeating them once causes that behavior to be recorded. In the horse's mind, even a single repetition is often more than enough for the animal to learn a new concept or habit. And you know that means something very specific for your training. The horse must clearly understand exactly what response it is going to get for every single behavior it performs. This means you must be incredibly consistent regarding what response and what specific reaction you are going to have in every moment you spend together towards that horse's behavior. Second is timely reward or correction. It must happen in less than 3 to 5 seconds, whether it's bad behavior or good behavior. You don't have much time to tell the horse if its behavior was good or bad. In total, 3 to 5 seconds. Study more about the horse's body language, the ears, the eyes, the muscles. They are all very valuable signs. When they say a person, an experienced trainer, a trainer who is older, gives you a suggestion by seeing a horse, gives you a theory, gives you advice that completely changes the horse. It's because of the experiences they've had watching those eyes, those ears, those states of the horse in various good and bad situations. And now by seeing your horse in those behaviors, they can diagnose what the problem is. And when you watch the horse's exercises, what things should you pay attention to? And finally, prepare a safe and positive environment for the horse. Preventing the occurrence of negative behaviors is much more effective than correcting them. Always remember this. The goal of this video was to help you understand your horse's behaviors better, react better, and train more professionally. If you liked this video, please like it, and by subscribing, you can become a member of our small family. Our next video is about a full explanation of the aerobic and anaerobic muscle systems and what exercises can be practical in each of the systems. We'll talk about nutrition. If you have any questions, if you have suggestions or criticisms, I'd be happy if you leave a comment for us. Stay tuned for our new videos on the channel. We are here to talk about the experiences of different trainers, words that need to be heard more. Good luck in time.